Welcome to the program, and we begin with developing story. General Pervez Musharraf has passed away in a hospital in Dubai. The 79-year-old former Pakistan president was living in Dubai in self-exile. Now, according to reports, he was admitted in the hospital after he developed heart and blood-related complications. Pakistan ISPR has confirmed Musharraf's passing. Reports say the family of Pervez Musharraf have contacted Pakistani consulate in Dubai. And in all likelihood, Musharraf's remains will be brought back to Pakistan via a special plane tomorrow. Let's talk more about this latest development. Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik is joining us live to talk about this. Anas Malik, from the time that we spoke, is there any latest update? Do we have messages from the Pakistan government following Pervez Musharraf's death? What more information do you have for us at this hour?
Well, yes, Eric, we've got messages of condolences coming in from the Pakistani Prime Minister office, and it's just come in. It's in Urdu, so I'll just very quickly translate real time. It says that the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif, has condoled on the sad demise of former President General Pervez Musharraf. He's also condoled with the family members of the deceased and has expressed his condolences and has offered prayers with the bereaved family. This is what the statement from the Prime Minister Office of Pakistan reads in Urdu, that the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, has expressed his condolences on the sad demise of General Retired Pervez Musharraf. A statement from the Pakistani presidency as well, that also reads that the President of Pakistan has also condoled on the demise of former President General Pervez Musharraf. Just as I talk to you, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Muhammad Amjad Khan Niazi, has also expressed his sad grief and at this hour on the demise of General Retired Pervez Musharraf. So we're seeing condolences continue to pour in, but the update on his remains is that the government of Pakistan, rather the state of Pakistan, has offered a repatriation flight, a special flight to the family members of General Retired Pervez Musharraf. The family members have already contacted the Pakistani consulate in Dubai as well, and likely where we are to see that that a special plane will be flying into Dubai tomorrow morning from the Noor Khan Air Base here in Rawalpindi, very near to where I am in Islamabad and Rawalpindi, and it will be landing at the Al Maktoum Airport of Dubai, and it is yet to be decided where the remains will be brought back, because we have to keep in mind General Retired Pervez Musharraf was originally from Karachi. When he had migrated after having migrated from Delhi, he was born in Delhi, but then he shifted to Karachi. And then he has the residence here in Islamabad, in the peripheries of Islamabad, in an area called Chak Shahzad. He's got a big farmhouse. Where he had spent his last years as a Pakistani citizen in the country. Then he went to Karachi as well. So the family is yet to decide where the plane will be heading to, at least for the time being. Right. But what we know so far is that the plane will indeed be heading to Dubai from the Noor Khan Air Base in Islamabad. That is tomorrow. That will be on Monday. Eric?
All right, like I said, this is a developing story, and we are following it up right here on WION World is One. Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik, stay with me, because I want us to talk about the impact this demise will have on Pakistan going forward. And joining me at this hour is Jamil Ahmed Khan from Karachi. He's a former Pakistan diplomat and analyst. Jamil, thank you very much for joining us at this hour.
Thank you.
Probably you can start by telling us, what do you remember about Pervez Musharraf and his leadership?
A very dynamic person, very social person, a person who would maintain the friendship, a person who would like to mix up with the people, a person who would not shy away from media like most of the people in uniform around the world, a person who was proactive in taking initiative, both on the military side and once he chose to become the president, even on the civil side, a person who had an admiration as a military commander, as a commando, and as a military leader, a person who finally was able or was very close to solving a problem of the humanity.
Right.
And my indication is the Kashmir problem. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and General Musharraf. It was only General Musharraf who could resolve this problem and negotiate and finalize, and they were very close to finalization. In fact, just few hours before the signature, signing of the agreement, some unfortunate incidents took place and it was not signed. So he was a proponent of the humanity, although he was a general, but still, from that standpoint, yes, he would be remembered, and he would be remembered from all these qualities, what I just enumerated by him. And basically a person who would be very, very vocal with the media and would respond to any kind of question, not only media, but even with the civil society, a person who ensured the woman right in Pakistan by enacting the seats in the parliament for the women, seats both on the provincial and the federal side, a person who had given the chance to the people to resonate their voice in this country. There was only one channel, and he allowed it. And it had gone right more than 50 channels in Pakistan. So Jamil, from all these aspects.
Jamil,
yes.
You know, the insights that you give about Pervez or the late Pervez Musharraf are a complete different reflection from what Pakistanis would say about the man who was Pervez Musharraf. And I'll now take it back to Anas Malik. What are some of the reactions from Pakistanis following the demise of Pervez Musharraf?
Have come in, Eric, that have come in from the Prime Minister, from the President, from the Army Chief, from the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, and others. But as I talk to you, I haven't really been able to track, but on what we are seeing, the reactions on social media, it's a mixed plate, it's a mixed batch, as the honourable guest has been talking about. But let's not forget, General Musharraf's reign was marked by controversies, controversial statements such as the one he gave on Mukhtara Mai case, the Mukhtara Mai rape case, where he said that the rape survivors would want to allege false charges just to take foreign citizenships. Mukhtara Mai continues to remain in Pakistan even after General Pervez Musharraf's demise. Then the legal framework order, the LFO, then the 2002 referendum. You talk about the National Reconciliation Reconciliatory Ordinance, the NRO, which is often talked about, a clean chit to what he believed were corrupt politicians striking deals, the rise of terrorism, and so on and so forth. So his reign has been marked by a lot of controversies, and that is why we're seeing such a divide in the Pakistani community now.
Right, Jamil, you heard what Anas Malik had to say. There's a certain divide when it comes to opinion about Pervez Musharraf. Asking you this question, when it comes to his legacy, let's reflect on his legacy, Mr. Jamil. An army general who goes on to topple an elected government and become Pakistan's president. What sort of legacy do you think or do you believe he left in Pakistan?
People like myself, including me, obviously they would not be supporting any such unconstitutional and extra-constitutional measure in any part of the world, what to talk of Pakistan itself. So that's true, you know, there would always be different opinions. I only enumerated those points which would have really served the purpose of humanity, would have saved hundreds and thousands and millions of life, and my indication is towards all the think tanks, most of the think tanks in the United States and other parts of the world, between the two nuclear power. Mr. Vajpayee, late Mr. Vajpayee, and now late General Musharraf would have resolved. So I was just describing it from that standpoint.
Right.
But if you ask about the democracy and if you ask about the Constitution and the adherence to the limits of the Constitution, yes, there are so many other criticisms, and people on the social media, they are taking it up. Normally, the tradition in this part of the world, the region, Asian region, the East Asian region, including India, a person who is passed away, normally we try and analyze things which are mostly positive. But since you have just mentioned about the constitutional aspect, obviously no one can defend that. Yeah.
Well, that is very true, and I agree with you that we have to reflect on the positive sides of the people who are deceased. But looking at the reality, or the reality sense of it, India seems not to forget the Kargil misadventures. Probably you can give us the highs and the lows of Pervez Musharraf during that era, and why was that misadventure not really solved?
We, the civilians, we are not privy to all the internal facts, but what I can imagine, the surrounding circumstances of that time, the atmosphere of that time, the opportunities which both countries have been looking for to take an advantage of certain weaknesses, and both countries involving into the kind of overt and covert mechanisms. So this was not only the time of Musharraf, I think. Previously, both countries have been, and even now both countries have been taking an advantage of such opportunities and eventualities. I would say that Kargil, that was resolved at the highest level. There were the multilateral players played in, and the way it was resolved, that's fine enough. But since people like myself would not have the inside story as to what happened, and I only would say that the killing and the death and the losses of life from both sides, that could have been averted, that could have been avoided somehow. That resulted into that episode, which is not a good sign if we take the relations of two countries forward, or if we have some foundations from where these two countries, which are at the spotlight in the eyes of the entire world, because they are the threat to not only to the region, but the entire world, being the nuclear power. So General Musharraf, in that context, I was mentioning the way they had reached very close to this 4-point solution of Kashmir, and today there is a Kashmir Day being marked here. So I think this was one thing which one could mention and attribute to both Mr. Manmohan Singh and Pervez Musharraf, General Pervez Musharraf, and Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. All three of them had agreed to that 4-point agenda, and I guess if that was signed, then probably the progress and prosperity on both sides, and that's what the credit goes to General Musharraf, that he was able to spearhead with his own personal dynamism as well as with his team. He was able to draw, and it was not drawn in one day or one month or 1 year.
Jamil, allow me to interrupt you in this bulletin or in this conversation, because we have several people who want to contribute about what they remember about Pervez Musharraf, and I've been talking to Jamil Ahmed Khan from Karachi. He's a former Pakistan diplomat and also an analyst. Jamil, stay with me, because we are talking about a sensitive issue and also a developing story where 79-year-old Pervez Musharraf, or General Pervez Musharraf, died today while in hospital in Dubai. And joining me now is Sharat Sabrawal from New Delhi. He's former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan. Mr. Sharat, thank you very much for joining us at this hour. Probably you can start by telling us, what do you remember about Pervez Musharraf?
Well, I think I can tell you he was appointed the Chief of Army Staff when I was Deputy High Commissioner in Pakistan, Deputy High Commissioner of India. And what I recall people talking of him at that time was that he was a very adventurous person. Now that adventurism was in full view vis-a-vis India in the subsequent years. So as far as his legacy is concerned for India, I think it's a mixed legacy, I would say. When he was the Chief of Army Staff and his tenure of about 2 years as a military dictator, he was extremely adventurous against India. He encouraged terrorism. He was the architect of Kargil incursion, which resulted in an armed conflict between the two countries. Attack against India's parliament, he presided over it. Hijacking of an Indian Airlines plane in December 99, that incident is very well known.
Right.
Then he was invited by India to Agra for a summit in July 2001. Where also he took a very hardline stand describing terrorists as freedom fighters, etc., etc. But then things changed in post 9/11, when the attitudes in the West towards terrorism changed, when there was a lot of pressure on Pakistan, a threat of being bombed back to the Stone Age, as a U.S. interlocutor is supposed to have told him. And he also thereafter needed legitimacy, international legitimacy, to prolong his rule as a military dictator.
Right.
And I think from that point onwards, he took a more reasonable attitude towards India. If you wish, I can describe a few things that happened thereafter.
Probably, Mr. Sharat, you can go back and reflect on his war on terror. And under his establishment, that's when they courted ball with the United States, so to speak, in the war against terror. Is there any credit that Pervez Musharraf can take when during that era of eradicating terrorists in Pakistan and in the world?
No, I think he took that decision under pressure. He was under tremendous pressure, as I said earlier. So he overnight shifted from a backer of the Taliban in Afghanistan to someone who believed that terrorists were freedom fighters in Kashmir, etc., etc. And he turned Pakistan overnight into a frontline state in the U.S. war against terror. But that was a Janus-faced policy, because on the one hand, he remained
We seem to have lost Mr. Sharat Sabrawal from New Delhi. He is a former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan. And if you're just joining us, this is a developing story. 79-year-old General Pervez Musharraf has died. He passed away while in hospital in Dubai. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.